Hey everybody, in this video we are going to factor more trinomials in which a, the lead coefficient, is not 1. In the previous video, what's showing right here is some factoring by guess and check. I like guess and check because it doesn't require us to memorize a process. It's just something we can try until we get the right answer. And the more we practice, the easier it will be to get to that right answer faster. But some of us don't like guess and check. Some of us would prefer to memorize a process. So if that's you, then maybe this will be the way for you. So we are going to factor by grouping. The first thing we need to do is take this 4 and 49, A and C, and multiply them together. And these multiply to 4 times 49, 196. So now we need to find two numbers that multiply to 196 and add up to negative 35. Okay, so two numbers that multiply to 196 and add up to negative 35. What if we do 196 divided by 7? We get 28. So 7 and 28. Okay, those multiply to 196. Do they add to negative 35? These actually add to positive 35. But if I make them both negative, they still multiply to positive 196. And now they add up to negative 35. So we've got negative 7 and 28 as our two numbers. Now, what we're going to do is take this negative 35 and split it up into negative 7x minus 28x. And the order here is not going to matter. So we've got 4x squared minus 7x minus 28x plus 49. Okay, now the actual factor by grouping part starts now. We're going to group these first two and see what we can factor out. The greatest common factor of these two terms is x. We can factor out an x, and that leaves us with 4x minus 7. Then we will group these next two terms together. Now, the beginning of this is a negative, so we need to factor out a negative. And the greatest common factor of 28 and 49 is 7, so we'll factor out a negative 7. Negative 28x divided by negative 7 is 4x, and 49 divided by negative 7 is negative 7. Okay, now notice that both of these terms have 4x minus 7 in it. We can factor that out. Times x minus 7. And there is our factored form. Okay, so we'll move down to number 14 here. 6 times negative 49. 6 times negative 49 is negative 294. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 294 and add up to 7. Okay, so let's see. 294, we'll just ignore the fact that there's a negative for a moment. That is divisible by 7, I believe. 7 and 42. I'm not going to be able to make those add up to 7 when one is positive and one is negative, so that we would multiply to negative 294. How about 294 divided by 21? That's 14. I think that's going to work. 21 and 14 multiplies to 294. One of these has to be negative so that it multiplies to negative 294. If I keep the 21 positive and make the 14 negative, 21 plus negative 14 will give me 7. So I'm going to split that into 21x minus 14x. Okay, so I've split up that b term. Now, we factor by grouping. So these first two terms, the greatest common factor looks like it's going to be 3x. So I'll factor out 3x. 6x squared divided by 3x is 2x. 21x divided by 3x is 7. And then this second group starts at the negative, so I'm factoring out a negative, and I believe the biggest number that goes into both of these will be 7, so I'll factor out negative 7. Negative 14x divided by negative 7 is 2x. Negative 49 divided by negative 7 is 7. So I have 2x plus 7 as a factor and 3x minus 7 as the other factor. Now, anytime we factor a trinomial, the first thing we should look for is a GCF, a greatest common factor. The last two we did not have a greatest common factor other than 1, but this one does. It has negative 1. I'm going to factor out that negative, so I have 6a squared minus 25 plus 25a plus 25. So I have factored out the negative. Now, I'll multiply these. 6 times 25, that's 150. So I need two numbers that multiply to 150 and add up to 25. And I think I can make that happen with 10 times 15. 10 times 15 is 120. 10 plus 15 is 25. So I've got negative times, and I'm splitting up this 25a, so I have 6a squared plus 10a plus 15a plus 25. Okay, so then I've got negative, and I can group these, and the greatest common factor, I believe, is going to be 2a, which leaves me with 3a plus 5. Okay, here I can factor out a 5 out of both of these, so plus 5 times 3a plus 5. Okay, so I have this negative. Then I have 3a plus 5 and 2a plus 5. And here in my last one, I've got a GCF other than 1 again. I believe 4 goes into all of these, so let's try that. So 4 times 16 divided by 4 is 4, so 4b squared, plus 60 divided by 4 is 15, 15b, minus 100 divided by 4 is 25. Okay, so I need two numbers that multiply to 4 times negative 25, that's negative 100. And they're going to have to add up to 15. So multiply to 100 and add to 15. And I believe 20 times 5 is 100. So 20 times 5, but they've got to be negative. One of them has to be negative, and they have to add up to positive 15, so I'll make the smaller one negative. 20 times negative 5 is negative 100. 20 minus 5 is 15. So I'll split up that 15 into 20 minus 5. So I've got 4 times 4b squared plus 20b minus 5b minus 25. Okay, so then I can group these. So I get 4 times, and my greatest common factor here is 4b, and that leaves me with b plus 5. And then here, I'll factor out a negative 5, which leaves me with b plus 5. So I have 4 times, got b plus 5, and 4b minus 5. And that is how you factor a trinomial by grouping.